Javier! Hey, buddy, how are you? Hey, Canute Burger, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. I was getting worried. Hey, stop. It's the mailman. Sorry about that. Right when we get started, the dogs go nuts. I don't know what to do about that. So, welcome to Real Marshalls. Now I'm playing through an IR of a Marshall 412, so it's as close as I'm going to get on a live stream. I do have a 412 cabinet buried, but so my 1970 50 watt started acting up right before the show, so I swapped it out. This is not technically mine. It's a friend of mine, but I think he's going to trade it to me for some work. So I'm selling a bunch of other amps of his, including a double-ized Fender, a 1967 dual Shellman. It's been double-ized. Anyway, this is Real Marshall. Now I'm going to change this up a little bit. It has mid-70s Siemens EL34s in it. I have a pair of 60s Mullards. It's going to soften it up a little bit and give a little more of that barky thing. These are good though. I mean, this is the sound. This is what I played. And then I have a rat pedal on my board, so if I wanted more. Do you recognize that sound, right? So, yeah, it's a great amp. Spruce Creek, how are you, buddy? So this amp's been recovered, as you can tell. The logo looks way too good. I'm going to try to find a vintage logo to put on there. But it got recovered like 30 years ago, so it's still kind of old looking. Because it's a, what, 57-year-old amp, right? Gosh, that sound, just those little eighth note clicky things, gives me such deja. Hey, Bob Dragich, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Gives me that flashback to the 80s, right? You know, all those dumb cover songs I used to play. Hey, little sister, what have you done? Hey, little sister, who's your only one? I've been away for so long, I've been away. It's a nice day for a white wedding. It's all those sounds, man, all that old stuff. But I have a Strat here too. I'll pull it out in a minute. But like if I pull it back, you know, the guitar's on 6 now, you know, you get that. So here's a crazy thought for you. With a non-master volume amp, everything was not just sort of automatic. You didn't have 4 channels to pick, and a crazy pedal board. There weren't that many great pedals back then. Honestly, I had a rat pedal, and you heard what it does. So if you wanted a clean sound, you just rolled your guitar back. These are the cover songs that I was forced to play when I was a kid. And the only thing that made it fun was girls liked it, so we would do it, you know. How's it go? That's too dirty. But you get the idea. This is definitely the blast from the past. That E string sharp, I could hear it. But all that stuff, right? Roll the guitar back just a little bit. Go out and get yourself some deep, dark shades. That's how you had vocabulary out of your guitar. And most of the time, I should get my juniors in a case, but I made money just playing a junior through this amp, you know. So, what's going on, Gibson? It's nuts grabbing. I need to put some graphite on it or something. Guitar wants to go sharp. There's only one reason guitars go sharp. Anyway, I thought you guys get a kick out of this. So when I get the Mullard power tubes in there, it's going to have a little more of that bark and quack that you hear right now. So this isn't really a wildly interesting show other than a trip through the past, because I'm still working on amps with the Bad Cat guy. So but man, that's just home base for me. I don't know how much is coming through, and honestly what I'm hearing in my headphones is good. You know, the IR is of a old Marshall 412 cabinet with M's in it. It sounds good, but it doesn't have that nasally bark that I want, you know. It's a very useful sound. So also the thing that is kind of interesting is that, you know, when I was playing for a living, no one had road cases. So your amps just got the crap beat out of them all the time, which is probably why this one got recovered. This is not the amp that I played when I was a kid. Not the exact one. I have it over here. It started acting up right before the show, and I smelled things. So I pulled it down. This amp, I'm actually going to put new filter caps in, put the Mullard power tubes in it, and then two of the caps at the end of the circuit have been replaced with orange drops. So I have the original mustard caps I'm going to put in there. You gotta pardon me, I've been sick. It's arguable whether I should be doing the show. I'm just so stir crazy. Sitting around the house 2 days sick right now. So if you hear me getting a little bit out of breath, that's what it is. I just couldn't stand it. So anyway, let's do a little Strat action. So this, like I said, this is not the exact amp that I played when I was a kid, but it's exactly the same amp. It does what I remember and what I want out of an amp. Now, I'm sure the next logical question is, why did you and Peter never make Marshalls? And it's a real simple answer. Marshall makes Marshalls. And their reissues now are actually pretty good. They don't sound like this, but they sound really good. This is unobtainium. You know, the parts on this board don't exist. Let me tune it up real quick. But it's got that vintage Marshall sound. So if I wanted to go... Ah, damn, that's good. Whoops. My hands are really cold and I'm sick. I'm sorry. And no one should attempt to play Hendrix. It's really a faux pas. Well, there's a sick man over yonder, babe, trying to play guitar. Sick man over yonder, baby. Yeah, it's a good. It's a really. It's a. Yeah. It's a really great sound. You could just play all sorts of rock and roll on this. Hey, Michael, how are you, buddy? 1969 Marshall. Been recovered, obviously, but getting it there. It's a friend of mine's amp. My 1970 started acting up. I just got it back from Peter. I put some new power tubes in. I don't think they're good. So I have to pull them out. I have a different, I'm going to put these Siemens in there. And then I have some Mullards to put in here. Unfortunately, the tubes I bought for that 70 were Mullards, and they're acting up. So hopefully the guy will take them back. You know, you're right, Bob. I really, Hendrix and SRB are two people that you have to know everything they did, so you never try to play it in public. That's why I'm a clown. It's tone, you know, there's tone there. Yes, I cannot play it correctly. But there's a sound there that I really like, right? So if I roll the guitar back, she won't do it, but her sister will. That's right. Anyway, you get the idea. And again, I'm sick, so I apologize for being, I'm not vast, right? I'm half vast. This is vast. Oh, where's my hands? This is vast, and this is half vast. I'm half vast. Henrik Olson says, hey, man, you have your own tone. That's cool. Thanks, man. It's very kind of you to bail me out. Anyway, it's just a great sound. And the thing that's fun is, like, you know, with guitar wide open, if I want to throw like a clon on top of it, it still sounds like a Marshall, you know? So, excuse me. Yeah, man. So like I said, I got a cold. It's starting to relent today. Like I sound like a human today, but I don't feel like one. Man, what is up here, dude? There we go. So I have all these speaker boxes everywhere. I have all these Eminence speakers. Tom Starowski and I did 14 speakers for Eminence week before last. Still not right. What's happening here? Yeah, everything's going sharp. Unbelievable. Yeah, so if you guys want some Eminence speakers, give me a call. A Hard Rock of Steel, do you have any guitars with your buddy Ron's P90s? Not yet. The 58 reissue that I have, we did some serious measurements on Michael DeTemple's 1955 Les Paul Special that I had a few weeks ago. We did capacitance and inductance and not just impedance, right? We did, you know, put an LCR meter on it and ran signal through it and got sort of a hysteresis on it. And he's going to nail it for me because I thought those pickups sounded amazing. Ron's pickups are pretty close to those. Too dirty. Anyway, you're going to love this with the Mullards in it. I got Mullard preamp tubes in it right now. Proper 60s Mullards. So, Ron's P90s are great. I mean... Gosh darn. Sorry, guys. I'm having major... guitars that will not stay in tune. It's kind of got it. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I think you're going to like it a lot better when I get the Mullard power tubes in, and there's a couple of mustard caps I have to have. A lot of guys stick modern parts in thinking, what's the difference, right? A lot of techs don't really play much guitar. They just stick caps in there. So orange drop caps are kind of Fender-y, stuff. So there's 4 of them in there. One down by the phase inverter. Yeah, Mark, that's cool. 8.5 is a little hot. It's not crazy. My favorite P90s have all been right around 8K, right on the mark, either 7.9 to 8.1, that kind of thing. Anyway, so this amp has been serviced because it's 57 years old, right? My buddy bought this amp in the 90s and never played it. And so there's 4 orange drop caps in there, 2 down by the phase inverter and 2 down in the rectifier circuit. So it shouldn't make a whole lot of difference. The ones in the phase inverter you can probably hear. So lots of cool overtones there. Just trying to hit weird intervals so you can hear the overtones. You know, man, I'm already wearing out. I love being sick. The progression I always play to show you guys the different overtones and harmonics of different amps, right? That's good. This is too bassy for stage use, right? You kind of hear this amp's got a lot of really, what do you call it? Note-to-note detail. The harmonic content of it is really good, I think. Like I say, the Siemens are a little crispy. You know, they're a little immediate and scissory, razory, which was the thing in the 70s. Articulation, that's right, Mark. Interstate Love Song, that's right. I loved Stone Temple Pilots. That record's amazing. And my friend Brendan O'Brien produced it, so that makes me like it even more. But that chord progression really shows off what an amp can do. Because it's funny, if you play that chord, and there's some weird chords in there, right? A lot of amps cannot do that. It'll barf when you do the... Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of bass in here right now because I'm just playing by myself. But I can pull a little bit out here and see. You can kind of hear in the upper mid-range, there's a little bit of razor sharpness there that's going to go away with the mullered palette tube. And that's a Siemens. That's why I like to darken this up, because it kind of covers that a little bit. The Siemens are really great tubes, and people pay a lot of money for them. So I'm going to put them in the 70, because Peter did this Eddie Van Halen mod on there, and that's what Eddie used for Siemens EL34. So I'm not trying to play like Eddie Van Halen. I'm not trying to sound like him. Don't worry. I'm just trying to get some tone. That's all. But I can turn the presence and the treble down here. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Let's turn the bass channel down a little bit. I got them jumpered over here, right? Yeah. How about that? Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to cut it off at a half hour today. I'm starting to fade already. Really sucks. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see you guys, and I was sick, and I was laying around the house losing my mind. Sounds like a Strat, you know. It's too much bass. Like if I were on stage, the sound man immediately through the monitors be like, "Hey, guitar player, roll the bass out of that amp." You don't need it on stage. Yeah, it's too much. Let's roll the bass channel back and the treble channel up. And presence just a little bit. Yeah, Rob, send me a note on the side. I can tell you which ones I really like. Hey, what's that? Hey, there's a pair of VL34s that I was looking for. Anyway, sorry. What kind of nerd has tubes all over his desk? You can't hold me down. Yeah, so I cannot play like Hendrix. We've established that. But I have fun playing Hendrix songs. So if you'll be forgiving enough. See, that progression's another one I always play. It goes really well with, the EF86s and my 65s. And that kind of circuit. But it doesn't work with an old Marshall. So you can kind of see how playing different amps might affect some of the choices that you make, right? You might make musical choices based on what your amp does. I wish I had my Junior out. I'll do that next time, and I'll have the Mullards, and you'll hear it. We'll do that early AC/DC stuff. It's so great, right? Doesn't really work with a Strat, but you still get the idea, right? Head out on the highway, going to the show. There's an upper mid-range content to that. Sounds like knocking on wood, right? It's cool. It's a subtle thing, and even modern Marshall copies don't really do that. A lot of it is the output transformer, which you're listening to, which is the Drake transformer that they don't make. And there's some really good copies of it that get really close. But they don't have 57 years of aging and bacteria and whatever, relaxing of the windings, all that stuff that's going on. Yeah. I'm having flashbacks like crazy, right? I'm sick, man. I can't play. Henrik Olsen says, what, in your eyes, is the worst thing about all these artificial guitar amps and effects that are popping up now? I really don't have much bad to say about them. They're different. They're very different. There's a few things going on that make it good, and a few things that make it impossible to compare to a tube amp. So I think one of the big mistakes, I'm just going to shut this off. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm sorry if I dishonored this amp. Next week I'll be in better shape and we'll have more fun. But let's talk for a little bit. This is a great subject. She barks nicely. Yes, she does. And you just wait. It's going to get better. Hey, buddy. How you doing? What's happening, dude? You okay? How's my good dog? You want to come over here? Come on. Come on. Come on. You can come here and lay down. That's fine. That's a boy. Come on, lay down. There's my old dog, my alpha dog. No, here, right here. Just stay right here. You're fine. You're fine. Just right there. You're good. I know it's crowded. Yeah, he's a good boy. Wait a minute. If you want to get out, go this way. Go this way. That's fine. That's all right. Good boy. Sorry, border collies. They kind of participate in your life. So the artificial guitar amps, and you're talking about modelers, right? You know, I did a lot of work with modeling. I worked on the Helix for 6 years. Also on some of their other modeling amps they have. I came to a good understanding of them, and I think it's fair. They are not tube amps. I think the mistake that people make is saying that it's only good if it sounds exactly like a tube amp. And I think that's incorrect. What I learned working with those things is they sound close and they're getting better. Trust me, the Helix Stadium, which I started working on in 2019, sounds way better than the original Helix. And then they have another one coming out that's in a few years. They have another one coming out in a few years. It's going to be even better. I apologize, guys. I'm still a little sick. There's certain things they do really well, and there's certain things they don't. Part of the problem, and no one really thinks about this, is that part of the reason a tube amp does what it does is because you're playing loudly. And you know, pickups interact with speakers. Now, it doesn't hear when I'm playing IRs, of course, so you're missing some of that harmonic content. If I was sitting in front of a 412 cabinet, this amp would sound even better, because that 412 cabinet is interacting with the strings and the pickups of the guitar. Yeah, Joe Bonamassa's using Tone Masters on stage. They're getting good. I mean, they're getting better, especially for a live situation. I had a conversation with a player. Let me tell you about that in a second. But getting back to your original question, I don't really see a bad thing about those unless you're really trying to mimic some vintage old tube amp like this, right? I mean, I baby this thing. I got a brown box on it to make sure that it's happy. I'm getting 124 volts out of the wall. This was expecting 117 to 120, so that would be putting, you know, an extra 20 volts on the plates of these old tubes, and I don't want to do that, right? That'd be the preamp tubes also. So anyway, speaking of Dumbles, if I still have it here next week, I have a Dumble i 67 dual showman. I'll plug it into my aux box here and we'll play it. Anyway, selling it for a friend of mine. Hey, buddy. Hey, what's happening? So anyway, I don't really think there's anything bad. I think they're just different. And I think it's a real mistake to say, I will only play modelers or like modelers if they sound exactly like an old tube amp. You and I both know that's impossible, right? So it's an unfair thing to put around it. But here's what I did learn from working, because I had a Helix here at my desk. I was working at this desk with the Helix software. I didn't have the foot unit. I had the software here on my computer. And you can have a lot of fun with those things. And you can make music with them. You can make really good music with them. Now, when you're playing live especially, I think they're most useful. And here's why. The sound that you would feel on stage or hear on stage does never get translated through the PA system. This is never going to happen. you're going through a lot, usually a dynamic mic on stage, and it's going through a preamp, and it's going through a digital board. All modern boards are digital boards, right? And then you got a sound man doing whatever, putting compression or whatever on it. So by the time it gets out and you're in a room that sounds like God knows what, right? So by the time it gets out to the PA system, you're not really getting anything near what Joe Bonamassa is feeling on stage. So the good tube amp on stage right now is really just for the benefit of the player. However, you can model Bonamassa's amps, which is probably what Fender has done with the Tone Master, and send that out to a digital board, and it's going to be good. It's going to be better than a processed tube amp sound. Because by the time your tube amp gets out to the PA system, it's gone through a lot of different gear, and it's been processed a lot. So it's not real accurate. Is it good? Yeah, it's probably great. But it's not accurate, right? Whereas a modeler is accurate. By the time it gets out there, what you hear coming out of the PA is exactly, yeah, Henrik, I think that's exactly great. He says, I make music with it, but I miss the amp. Yeah, of course. I miss playing loud too, because the way my guitar acts when I'm in front of a loud amp is really great. It's encouraging, and it gives you all this extra sustain and all these extra harmonics and all this stuff. So when I get this thing all done, I can play it through. I got one of those Fryette power stations. Maybe I'll try to mic it up and run it through a cabinet. I got one of those oversized 212s from my friend John Thompson at Bad Cat. Put a couple of scumbag speakers in there that are pretty good. They sound like old Celestians for sure. It's not going to be super because by the time it gets to you, it's been processed a lot, right? By Facebook and everything else. But you'll get the idea. But you'll hear the guitar act differently when there's a speaker right next to it. So again, I don't have a problem with digital modelers, but I was this deep in them for a long time. I did 6 years at Line 6 consulting for them, and then I did a stint at Roland also working on their digital amps. And you know what? You can have fun with those. You really can, and you can make music with them. Is it as good as a tube amp? It's just different. That's like saying I want my chicken to taste exactly like my steak. Well, chicken's great. You can really cook chicken a lot of nice different ways, but it's never going to taste like steak, and vice versa. So, hey, dude, you got to stop. Hey, stop. Yeah, Rob. I know it depends on which modeler you're playing and what version of it is. If you got one from 10 years ago, yeah, they're kind of sterile. They leave a lot to be, there's a lot left out. The newer ones are really getting better. Like the Neural is great. The Helix Stadium is killer. The Quad Cortex, the Neural Quad Cortex seems to be very popular along with Helix Stadium. Kempers are still doing great. They're getting better and better. If you listen to Kemper models from 8 or 10 years ago versus today, they sound a lot better. They really sound good. You will not be disappointed. However, having said that, I would live with this all day long. But, excuse me, pardon me. I would really love to have my 67 GTO back. Man, if you don't stop, this is going to be a problem. Stop. Sorry. My dog's intentionally trying to screw with me back here. My 67 GTO is a whole lot of fun. It makes a beautiful noise, and it rides so good. I don't have it anymore, of course. And when you put your foot in it, it snaps your neck and roasts the tires. It's so much fun. However, it does not like to stop. It does not like to turn, and it burns a lot of gasoline. You get 5-6 miles per gallon driving around town in it. So is it a better car? Nah, it's just different, And so I think a lot of times when we're comparing modelers to tube amps, what we're doing is comparing Teslas to old Corvettes or something. You know, like we like old amps. You know, every amp that you play now is a derivation of an old amp. It's either a derivation of this, a Blackface Deluxe, a 64 AC30, a 59 Bassman, and then maybe a fill-in-the-blank high-gain amp, you know, like a Dietzel or a Bogner or a Boogie dual rectifier is a hugely influential amp. Everything that we play now is derivative of those. So when you're buying all these boutique amps that, you know, you're really sometimes just buying a deluxe. It's a deluxe made with modern parts, and they sound great, and they're made really well, and there's nothing wrong with them, but that's all you're getting. Whereas when you buy a modeler, you're getting dozens of amps that are fun. And if you're sitting around by yourself playing at home especially, gosh, they're fun. You can have a good time. You can sit and play along with television if you want to. I mean, it's cool. And you can plug them right into your computer and make really good tracks. And if you were sitting at home, remember on the old version of the show when I had my lunchbox here? I had $10,000 worth of preamps. I had a Royer 122, which was a $3,500 microphone, and some other mics. And just to get a decent sound for a web show, a web stream. You don't have to do that now. You know, like I sold all that gear when I started working with Line 6. So I took it over there to their studio and I made lots of sound clips for them. They have a really nice vintage amp collection there, and I started recording, in particular, a 1967 50-watt tremolo head, Marshall tremolo 50-watt head, and it was great. So I discourage people from choosing. I don't think there's really a choice. I think it's just options. You don't have to pick between digital and tubes. You do not have to pick between modeling and old analog amps like this. Now, this is quite the baby. I mean, and I know how to maintain old amps. So it's working perfectly inside, like it did when it was brand new. Even though this logo is painfully new, right? I got to find a vintage logo, or either that or soak that one in tea for a week or something. But this really bothers me. Like, this is not... It looks bad. Anyway, but here's the other thing. Whatever one you like the best is the right one, right? So when people on the internet are saying, you're a fool if you don't like this, you know what? Fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. Only an asshole would say something like that. And we all know those forums where people, pardon my language, sorry. I know it's all guys here, so I assume you're not offended by a few cuss words occasionally. If you are, I apologize. But fuck those guys. I really, it's such a rude thing, you know, like if you like something, it's good. If it makes you happy, it's good. You know, it's fine. And also, if it doesn't make you happy, move on. You don't have to make somebody feel bad because they enjoy something. Personally, I don't think a Big Mac is food. But a lot of people really love it, you know, so what am I going to be, the guy sitting at the drive-thru at McDonald's going, that's not food, you shouldn't eat that. No, of course not. I'm not going to do that. What kind of fool would do that, right? So people create these choices, and I'm not saying you guys are doing that. I'm just speaking, you know, extemporaneously here. Like, I learned this from being knee-deep. I do have In and Out. I also have Five Guys, all kinds of stuff here. In and Out is great. Even In and Out's not as good as it used to be, though. When I moved here in 1986, In and Out tasted just like Five Guys tastes like right now. They've changed. They've gotten so big. I think they have a hard time sourcing the same meat at that scale. When I moved here in 86, I think there was like maybe 10 In-N-Outs in LA. Now there's like 200 in LA alone. And I think there's 2,000 of them nationwide. So it's quite a different business. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I don't really have anything bad to say about modelers. Now, if you want me to nitpick, um, um, Michael. Well, some people are offended by those words. I'm not. If you guys, any of you who know me personally, know that I'm more concerned about what you do than what you say. Saying cuss words doesn't offend me. Of course, you don't want to say them in places where people get offended. I'm not walking into a hair salon and going, "Hey, what are you bitches doing?" I'm not doing that. But there's no better way to say fuck those guys than fuck those guys. The thing about playing music is we're here to have fun, right? We're here to make ourselves happy. And some of us get the good fortune of making other people happy by playing music. And man, that's all positive, cool stuff. And anybody that tries to rain on that, I don't have time for. Life is short. And when you get a cold, your voice sounds funny. But that's so funny. Clutches pearls. Honey, that rock and roll man is dropping F-bombs again. Excuse me, sorry. So I like modelers. I don't gravitate toward them. I'm 61 years old, so naturally it's not my thing. However, if I was sitting around like writing jingles or doing music, I have a friend of mine who was a producer, and he's on here a lot. You recognize his he's got a funny name. Right on, Steven. So you're beating me to the punch. The UA Lion is killer. Anyway, he does all the music for like National Geographic and Discovery Channel. So like, when they're chasing convicts down the street or something, there's mood music. That's him playing My IRs that Tom and I made years ago with a Helix. And it's perfect. He sits in his house, headphones on, guitar in his lap, and makes really good sounding tracks. It's really good. So, Stephen, which nice to see you, by the way. Mike Franciscini, who you guys know, he plays in two tribute bands, and Stephen plays in a killer tribute band too. He plays in an Aerosmith tribute band. That's really good. Anyway, he flies around with a backpack. He's got a little modeler, and he plugs it into the PA system. He gets the exact sound he wants. The sound man loves it because there's not much stage volume, so that means they can crank up the vocal mics with no problem at all. He gets the exact same sound every time. He said, "I'm done with tube amps. I don't need them. They are more trouble than they're worth for performing." And it makes perfect sense. And, Mike flies around. Some of these tribute bands, I'm sure Stevens does too, they make a lot of money in one night, $15,000, $20,000 in one night. So they have to get the exact right sound. Also a Cars tribute. That's right. You're in the Candy Home. That's really cool. It's really cool. But anyway, the point being, you can get your exact sound. And for Stephen, you probably need to emulate some tones off of records, and you can sit at home and dial in your modeler and get it as close as you can. And then when you plug into the PA system, wherever you go, it's right there. You don't have to worry about it, Because even a lot of times those records, are processed, and you can get that processed sound on a modeler. You can't get it with a live tube amp on stage. For the example, like I like Helix a lot because I worked with it. But Helix has a really good LA2A compressor model in there. And they have a couple of great EQ models, like studio EQs, right? Like Pultec. So when you listen to a lot of records, everything has been ran through an LA2A compressor or an 1176. They have a great 1176 model as well. And then a Pultec EQ. So you can create a patch that sounds just like that record. And you can go now with AI especially, you can go out and figure exactly how that record was recorded. And then you can approximate that on your modeler really well, which you can't do on stage live, right? It's impossible. What are you going to do? Bring an LA2A and a Pultec EQ and a Neve preamp on stage? No, it's impossible. But you can do that with a modeler, right? So I think it's extremely cool. Um, anyway, that was a really long answer to a simple question. Short answer is, having worked with modelers, I have seen the light. I can see how they're very useful and they're very fun. You can have a great time with them. Will they sound like this? No. So what? Buy this. You know. Also, this is kind of a two-trick pony. You know, whereas a modeler has 100 tricks, right? So, Michael Branson, crazy left field question. Any chance you will be around Denver Saturday? Unfortunately, no. I do have a lot of family there. I invite you to be my guest and attend an awesome recording studio. Oh, that's really nice, man. They do Atmos recording and mastering. It'll be fun. That's really great. Thank you, Michael. I'll have to pass, but I'll take a rain check. I have a neighbor here that does Atmos mixing at his house, a guy named Brad Wood. He did, he's a producer, did all those Smashing Pumpkin records, and he's a Chicago guy, so all those bands out of Chicago. That was him. Farouk Assault, a few other artists. That was all Brad Wood. Now he does a lot of Atmos mixing right here. He's got an Atmos room in his house, and I went there when he first started. This was like 4 years ago, maybe. And there's a few tracks going around every Atmos studio. One was Rocket Man by Elton John. And thanks, Michael. I really appreciate the offer. That's very kind. And seriously, thank you. And the other was, which Beatles tune was it? Anyway, gosh darn it, I can't remember the Beatles song now. Was it Get Back? Anyway, it didn't matter because in the Atmos mix, I was sitting in the room with the Beatles, and I kind of got weepy the first time I saw it. And Brad called me and goes, you got to come over and hear this. I know you have a Beatles problem. And he put me right in the right spot in the room. He had a chair, like you have to sit right here. And he cranked it up really loud. What was the track? Anyway, I literally had little tears in my eyes because I felt like if I closed my eyes, you know, George was right here and John was right there and Ringo's back here and I could hear his cymbals coming at me. And, you know, it was so great. And then on Rocket Man, you know, it has that slide. It went from like back left of the room to front right of the room like it was a jet going overhead. It was really cool. Kiki Wong has brought a whole new aspect to Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, that's right. Michael Branson says, Dark Side of the Moon recently released do you have an Atmos system at your house? 14 speakers or whatever it is? It's pretty amazing. I don't think I can make the investment right now. I can't justify the investment. If I had the money, I would certainly set up an Atmos listening room. It's really impressive. But anyway, yeah, I was going to do a half hour, and here we are almost at an hour. Yeah, that's a very kind offer, Michael. Thank you so much. I appreciate it sincerely. I will not be in Denver. I do, as you probably heard me talk about, I have some cousins in Denver, so I do go there. And yeah, you go to your buddy's studio. Man, I would be buying him lunch once or twice a week. Hey, man, can I come over and listen to some songs? It's really fun. If they're mixing there, that's really awesome. Some of the mixes you might have heard might be done by Brad Wood right here. And he's got a studio in his backyard. I forget what it's called, but he has bands. It's big enough bands come over there and stay and everything. What's the girl's name from Chicago? Blanking on her name. They just did a record last year. It was really good. That's fine. Brad Smalling, Evergrove Studios, right on. No matter what, Henrik says, you just don't get that push from the amp that inspires you. Thanks for being your honest answer. Yeah, that's right, Henrik. It's different. You know, I've driven Teslas, and when you step on them, that instant power is something. But to me, it's heartless. When I heard my 400 Pontiac motor with the Muncie 4-speed spin up, that's exciting. It's exhilarating, like your heart races. And then as it pulls and you're starting to get thrown back in the seat, that's quite a thrilling response. Electric cars don't do that. Are electric cars bad? No. Electric cars are fantastic. They're just not as exciting. They're not as fun. That's the only real difference, I think. Well, anyway, fellas, I think I should go. I'm really starting to wipe out. I've got to run a couple of errands today while I have some energy. It's really nice talking to you. We're going to do some Marshall stuff for a couple of weeks. I'll hopefully have my 70 back, which is fawn colored, by next week and working. It's a different one. That's the one Peter has modified. When we shut down the factory at 65, we sent all the Marshalls to Peter because he's a Marshall lover. I mean, not just, oh, I like Marshalls. He loves Marshalls. He also has great expertise with modifying them and making them work perfect. He's a go-to guy for Marshalls. He really wants this one, which I'm not going to give it to him. But I love you, Peter, but come on. But the 70, he's modified both channels. So one channel, you get this like 69 super lead kind of circuit, and the other one is the Ed Van Halen thing with a huge 250 microfarad cap in V2, which opens it up and just makes the tubes beg for mercy. Oh yeah, I'm gonna feel better, Spruce Creek. It's just a mild cold. I'm taking zinc and the hydration powders and vitamin C, and I'm okay. I'm holding it off. But right now, I definitely need to kind of lay down for a little bit. Nothing wakes me up more than playing a good old Marshall. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll play some more. I want you to hear this one. I'm going over this tonight to put in the Mullards. I just don't have a bench here, so I'm going to go over and borrow Mike's. He's going to put them in and bias them up. And you'll hear a difference next week. And then I'm going to put the Siemens that are in here in the 1970 one that has the Van Halen's kind of mod to it. So I think that'll be a good fit. Anyway, and unfortunately, I think the Mullards that I bought that are in there are poo-poo. Hopefully the guy will give me my money back. I just put them in last week, even though I didn't buy them last week. I bought them a month ago or something. Anyway, any last questions? Anything you want to bring up while we're here? No big updates on 65. We're moving forward with Bad Cat and working on a collaboration amp, and we're working on getting my stuff. XF2s, that's right, double halo, Spruce Creek, double halo XF2s, Blackburn factory, the real deal. And the preamp tubes that are in here are Blackburn IE61s. The IE63 has a little bit longer plate, but it's a lot cleaner tube. And I have that in the other amp. But these are all I61s. You should look them up if you're not into Mullard stuff. They're Blackburn factory I61s from, I think, about 1967. So we're getting right in the right tubes here. And that's what these guys were designing around. So when you get the tubes that are made right in the era where the amp was made, you're getting to the essential nature of what the amp is. Because Marshall's changed all the time. Every 6 months they made some circuit changes. So if you have tubes from those eras, you're going to get right in there. Oh my gosh, I'm wiping out. I got to go. I love you, fellas. Good talking to you. I'll see you next week. And thanks again for wasting some time with me. I'll feel better next time. I won't sound like a tired old dude. Excuse me. All right. Love you guys. Take care now.